You can see ferries also making their way past this. Obviously, temperatures right now, 41 degrees or so in New York City. So this is all happening on a very chilly afternoon as well, which is a major concern if there are people and how long they would be in the water before rescue crews got to them. Again, no word at this point how many people were in the helicopter and what their conditions are at this moment. But you can imagine time is of the essence as these emergency responders head to this helicopter and surround it. We have crews right now who are looking into this, as well as our local station, CBS New York, has its reporters making their way to the scene. But this whole area, we understand, is under a traffic alert as folks try to clear the streets in order to get to this helicopter as soon as possible. No word yet also on what kind of helicopter it is. New York airspace is a very busy place. And of course, Hudson River, when you hear about the Hudson River rescue that has, of course, captured the world's attention, this is something that brings that day to mind. We're going to stay on top of this breaking news. We're going to toss it over to CBS New York right now.
What are some things that are on your mind right now as far as what investigators are doing?
Well, thank you very much. The first thought that I have would be, of course, of those people who were on board the helicopter. Certainly, we're concerned about them. Now, from an NTSB perspective, the NTSB will lead the investigation. They'll be assisted by the FAA, and they will start documenting whatever they can. They'll be collecting video evidence. They'll recover or have the helicopter recovered from the water. If there are any survivors, they will interview them. They'll look for electronic data that may be in the helicopter in terms of microchips or anything that can provide data. So they will be ready to investigate this. And having worked for the board for 15 years, I'm very confident that they will conduct a thorough investigation. So, Robert, was there any inclination that weather today around Manhattan could have been a factor in this helicopter going down there in the Hudson? Our understanding is that it was a pretty average day as far as winds go in the area. Well, I think it's too early to draw any conclusions like that. So the NTSB will sort all of that out. I know that everybody wants answers. They want to speculate. My training from the NTSB tells me don't speculate. Let's let the facts come out.
You know, just from a rescue point of view, if you can help us out in that area, Mr. Sumwalt, what are the priorities other than obviously trying to get to the people that are on board that plane? But what about preserving evidence at this point? Well, I do think that the main priority is the preservation of life. That's the main priority. And hopefully there will be survivors. But then they will have, the NTSB will have the wreckage recovered. They will defer to the local officials to assist with that. But usually these avionics, these radios, they can survive being in water for a short time. And the NTSB has a good success with being able to extract data from those things, like engine monitoring, health chips, and things like that. And you spoke to us there about some of those electronics, that data that comes whenever a vehicle goes down in this manner. The importance of a black box. We understand that most helicopters, of course, are going to have them on board. Can you walk us through the importance of what that will do as this investigation moves forward? Yeah, and like you pointed out, I don't think there's an official crash recorder on the helicopter. But again, the NTSB has been able to get data from a lot of sources that aren't really used for crash were not intended for crash investigation. But even iPhone video and position data can be very helpful. There's now equipment that broadcasts to aircraft controllers called ADSB, and that's constantly putting out speed and altitude and location information. And so all of this will help the NTSB put together a picture of what's happened. Can you talk to us a little bit, if you can, about just the nuances of flying a helicopter in a metro area such as New York City? What are some of the things that pilots need to be concerned about, aware about, other than, flying, let's say in more open spaces?
Well, that's a good question. I've never flown a helicopter. I was an airline pilot for 2.5 decades, and so that's really where my expertise is. So I would defer that to someone who has actually flown helicopters.
And in addition to that, would this crash investigation, is this going to impede on aviation in the metro area for the next several hours? Can anybody expect to see a change or a difference in takeoffs or landings at airports, like JFK or LaGuardia?
I would not suspect so, and that's a really good question. But this investigation, the wreckage is on. In fact, I'm looking at your video screen right now, your video feed. I'm in Houston, and I'm seeing WCBS on the TV right now. So anyway, I think that no, it will not. It should not impede traffic in and out of the tri-area airports.
All right. And Robert, I'm glad you are looking at the feed here now. So you're seeing the same thing we're seeing from our tower cam there on the Hudson in lower Manhattan there. When you look at this response, you see, or at least we saw earlier, a lot of the cruise liners in the area, the tour boats, they surrounded the spot that we believe the helicopter went down at. And then NYPD, of course, came shortly after. What goes through your mind when you look at this response from both law enforcement personnel, rescuers, and then also everyday people who were just out on the water when this helicopter crashed?
Yeah, I was at the NTSB when the U.S. Air crashed or had the forced landing on the Hudson. I was at the board then, and we saw the part of the success of the survivors was because of the just what you mentioned, the ferry boats in the area, local responders. They aided tremendously in the survivability, and so we are hoping that people were able to get out of the helicopter and be rescued.
Mr. Sumwalt, if you could please stand by. We're just going to update our viewers on the situation here and also give some more information on what we've been learning. But please do stand by in case we want to ask you some more questions as we continue our coverage. For those of you that are just joining us, we are interrupting programming here this afternoon to let you know that a helicopter has crashed into the Hudson River this afternoon. The NYPD saying that it happened in the vicinity of the West Side Highway and Spring Street. NYPD also posting on social media here that in this vicinity, this area of the West Side Highway and Spring Street, to expect emergency vehicles and traffic delays in the surrounding areas. So if you're listening to this and you have family or friends, or if you're planning on heading into this area on the West Side Highway, please avoid this area. We do have crews also on the scene. We're going to be covering both the Jersey side and the Manhattan side of the Hudson. And right now, we can also tell you that the NYPD sadly confirming here this afternoon that at least one person has died in this crash, this helicopter crash in the Hudson River. We do not know how many people were in the helicopter at the time of this crash. But we are hearing just now into our newsroom that the NYPD does confirm that one person has died in this helicopter crash this afternoon. Sad news to update you there. But as we get more information, we'll continue to give that to you. In the meantime, you're looking at live pictures of this scene where the crash took place. You can see several boats there in your picture. Some of them, obviously, rescue boats. Others that are too small that I can't really tell what they are. But a big police presence, both on the ground, in the water, and also we can tell you that there is an NYPD helicopter up above as well.
And this is, everybody at home, very preliminary in this investigation. This just came down. We are piecing this together, as is the NYPD, as are you guys. As we're getting information, we're telling you as soon as we get it. As we just said, we can confirm this is now a fatal helicopter crash there in the Hudson. And it looks like we might have some new video here just into the newsroom. We're taking a look at what we believe, as we've circled it there, is the helicopter there in the Hudson. And all the videos we had earlier, we couldn't see anything in the water, which led us to believe that maybe that chopper was submerged there in the Hudson, invisible to at least our tower cam. I'm sure they're down in the water. You probably can see better. But if you see here right on your screen, we're circling what we now believe is the helicopter there in the Hudson. NYPD just confirming at least one person is dead in this crash. And this is, of course, a video taken long before anybody else rushed to that area to attempt any form of rescue.
Okay, we're also hearing, in addition, that two other people were pulled actually out of the river. We do not know their conditions, however, so we know that one person confirmed dead, two others were pulled out. Their conditions are not known. But I want to reference the video that we were showing just minutes ago that Alan was talking about. And Robert, if you're still on the phone with us and have been listening, you know, the first thing that I noticed when we see the video of the helicopter is how much of it was already submerged in the water. I've covered, you know, these stories before of helicopters going down in the Hudson, also the the Hudson, excuse me. And usually there are like floating devices at the bottom of the helicopter in the landing gear. Can you talk about that at all? And does it strike you that the helicopter is submerged in that fashion, so deep into the river so quickly? All right, it looks like we do not have Robert Sumwalt, but...
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, okay, now we can hear you. Were you able to hear my question?
Yes, I did. I could hear it just fine. And hopefully you can hear me okay. You know, sometimes for whatever reasons, the floats are not activated. We'll remember the case of the Fly Nyan crash that happened back around 2018. And there was a case where the floats one of them did not inflate properly. So the helicopter rolled over on its back. And so it just depends if the helicopter even had the floats, and if they had them, did they activate as they should have? So without the floats, obviously, the helicopter will sink.
Is it required, though, those floats, are they required to be on a helicopter for this very reason?
I really don't know the answer to that.
We have been watching live coverage there from CBS News New York of what the NYPD says was a helicopter crash in New York City's Hudson River. They are reporting that one person has died. Two people, they say, were pulled out of this water. It happened around 3:30 this afternoon in lower Manhattan near the Holland Tunnel. We'll make sure to stay on top of this with continuing coverage. In the meantime, we're going to turn it over to CBS News 24/7, Juliet Goodrich, for the latest on this incident and more.
Welcome into CBS News 24/7. I'm Juliet Goodrich. We continue with our breaking news. New York police confirming a helicopter crashed in the Hudson River. Let's continue our coverage with CBS New York and in the latest.
An ordinary seatbelt, may not be ordinary to a passenger because they're not like the seatbelts in your car. It's a 4 or 5 point shoulder harness where the shoulder harnesses come over your shoulders. Then you have the lap belt, and then sometimes one coming up between your legs, and you have to rotate a buckle to get those off. And if you've not really practiced that, it can be you're going to maybe panic when you can't figure out how to get out. I just got off of an airliner about an hour ago, and I always pick up the emergency briefing card and read it and commit it to memory, even though I fly about 4 or 5 times a week. So know how to get out of something if you need to. Don't wait until you are in that situation to try and figure it out.
Phenomenal advice there, Robert. Thank you. And we'll be right back with you. Please stay around with us here. We want to go live now out to our Allie Bauman, who's live at Pier 26. She is one of the first reporters here that we've been able to show you a live ground image. Allie, what do you see out there?
Yeah, Alan, we just got to the scene, 30 seconds ago and fired up the camera as soon as possible. We're at Pier 26 right now, right on the Hudson River. And I want to have my photographer, Christy, here pan off to show you the scene that, as you can see, is closer to the Jersey side. As we've been reporting, this helicopter went down closer to the Jersey side of the Hudson River. Now, over there, you can see those flashing lights. There is a very heavy NYPD presence over where we are on the ground here at Pier 26, as well as the FDNY Harbor Unit, NYPD in the air. FDNY tells me they have divers, they have rescue crews, they have all their resources being sent over here to to respond to the scene as quickly as possible. Now, right now, the NYPD is telling us that at least one person is confirmed dead. I was told that at least 2 people have been pulled out of the Hudson River at this hour. Unclear the condition of that second person, whether they've been pulled out alive or dead at this point. Now, sources are also telling us that the NYPD believes there could be a child on board. It's not clear how many passengers in total. Now, it does appear that this was a recreational helicopter, a touring helicopter that we often see, flying around the Manhattan skyline, flying over the Hudson River, a daily occurrence here. And this happened just, about an hour or so ago. We have a large NYPD, FDNY rescue crew presence, both in the water, on the ground here, and trying to get a better picture of exactly what's happening. Now, I can tell you just from being on the pier here, there's a playground, there's fields here. It does seem to be in some ways business as usual with some of the families and children and adults that are here on the ground at the pier. So it wasn't a huge disturbance to the everyday life here on the ground at this point. We have been seeing reports of some people from their apartments seeing the helicopter go down. We're trying to make contact with those people to get firsthand accounts of exactly what they saw. But that's the latest that we have right here from the scene. Alan and Christine.
Allie, I just want to make sure and reiterate so that we can make sure that we have all of our facts correct. Your sources were telling you that this was a recreational helicopter and that a child may have been on board?
That's what we're hearing, the initial reports that there may have been a child on board. Unclear the total number of passengers or crew that was in that helicopter, but at this hour we know at least one person has died. At least 2 people have been pulled out. Unclear the condition of the second person.
And were your sources able to tell you where this helicopter took off from?
No, I don't know that at this hour. I'm going to try to get that information, Christine.
Okay, Allie, I know you just got to the scene. Great work gathering what you have been able to so far. We'll let you get back to work. Thank you, Allie. All right, back here live at the scene, the rescue scene that is still very active. You can see the NYPD and FDNY boats that are there surrounding the crash site. The site this afternoon, sadly, of another helicopter crash in the Hudson River. CBS News New York can confirm 1 person has died. 2 others were pulled out of the water, their conditions not yet known. Here we can see some still pictures of the submerged helicopter. It looks like it's actually upside down.
Yeah, and that might be the flotation devices you were referencing earlier. And, sometimes they get capsized. You're looking at the bottom, that's the landing gear of this helicopter as it sits, like you said, possibly upside down there in the Hudson. I want to also, we just heard Allie say, one of these people on board might have been a child there as we take a look at look at this massive FDNY and NYPD response there right around.
This is Pier 40.
Pier 40, yes, Pier 40 there on the West Side Highway. So it looks like we have at least 1 person dead, 2 pulled from the water, 1 of which out of those 3 could have possibly been a child, as we continue to build and get more information and a better look at exactly what's going on there down in a lower Manhattan. Another look now with these new pictures just into the newsroom of the helicopter. These are our first images that we've gotten of the physical helicopter. Before this point, we were unable to see anything above the water.
Absolutely. And I'm just thinking of the people that are involved in this here today as the story continues to unfold, and the human factor of what we're learning as these details are confirmed by our news crews and our crews here back in the newsroom. But it sounds as though at this point, according to sources, this was supposed to be an afternoon of family fun. A family, it appears, hired a helicopter to take them on a tour of the city, and somehow something went terribly wrong and that helicopter crashed in the Hudson River. It never ever, it always hits me when we cover these types of stories that there are real people involved in these, and as we continue to learn more about their injuries and also about this one death, obviously we're thinking of their families at this time, but we will continue obviously to to learn more about what is going on here, and then ultimately how this happened, to further prevent another situation like this.
Absolutely, absolutely. Everybody on board that helicopter, they did not wake up this morning anticipating this. This was probably an exciting moment for whoever was on board. The New York City skyline from above is tremendous, absolutely tremendous. And we just got some new information as I was speaking there. 2 adults and a child, I believe.
Three
Is that
children.
correct? Three children.
Two
2 adults and 3
three
children on board. 2 adults and 3 children were on board this helicopter, as we now know. So you talk about a time of family fun on a Thursday afternoon. This was probably an incredible ride there, alongside 2 adults, 3 children on board that helicopter that then turned into this tragedy here. I've been on one of these tour helicopters before, overlooking Manhattan. It's phenomenal. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like being able to see New York City from the air. And even when you buckle up and you trust the company and you know what's going to happen and you trust in that flight, you can never be 100% sure.
Absolutely not. And we cannot tell you whether or not if one of those adults was the pilot. So we're still looking to confirm if, in fact, there could have been 6 people on that helicopter.
Okay. So at least 5.
At least 5 right now. We, again, do not know if one of those adults that was on that flight was the actual pilot. So it's very well possible there could have been 3 adults. But right now we do know 2 adults and 3 children.
And we don't know which of those are the deceased that we've been notified of. If you're just now joining us, CBS News New York is monitoring a situation unfolding right now live on the Hudson River down in Lower Manhattan on the West Side Highway right around Spring Street. We have confirmed that a helicopter has gone down there in the Hudson River, and our sources and reports are telling us this was a tour helicopter.
All right, you are watching continuing coverage from our WCBS partners, and they are reporting the helicopter crash into the river. We want to go to our breaking news correspondent, Chanel Call, in the CBS newsroom in New York with the latest and what we know right now. Chanel.
And Jules, we're following this story very closely this hour. A really fluid situation here in New York. So authorities right now say this happened near Jersey City roughly 45 minutes ago. That's when, Jules, police say a helicopter crashed into the Hudson River. This happened near the West Side Highway. I want to show you some live images from the scene right now. You can see a very active scene here in New York City. The NYPD telling our partners at WCBS moments ago that 1 person has died in this crash and 2 people were pulled from the river. Their conditions, by the way, are still unknown. No official confirmation at this point how many people were on board that helicopter, but sources telling WCBS that 2 adults and 3 children were on board. And, Jules, that this was a recreational helicopter. So again, take a look at these really dramatic images coming into our newsroom right now. I want to talk about the response on scene. You can see police and emergency crews are still on scene there. We've got FDNY and NYPD on the ground, in the air, and in the water. There are divers, there are rescue crews there in and around the Hudson River. And we also, I don't know if we have these photos ready to share with you, if our control room can pull them up if we have them. You can actually see part of the helicopter on top of the water. It's hard to see from this view, but there are some photos where you can see it sort of sitting upside down. And I also want to explain where this happened. I know that there are going to be people watching this from outside New York City, of course. And let's contextualize Pier 40. This is a really large pier here in New York City. Originally it was a shipping terminal. Now it's this big recreational and community hub. You can see through this other shot right now, there are NYPD crews in the water right now. As I mentioned, divers are there. As far as how this happened, Jules, still no word on the cause, but a very active scene here in New York City this hour.
Yeah, and Chanel, we were talking about this helicopter being kind of a tour helicopter. This is when families come to visit the area and they take one of these tour helicopters around. Can you kind of elaborate on that, what the mission is usually? It's usually family sightseeing.
Well, that's what it sounds like. And again, no official confirmation from authorities at this point about how many people were on that helicopter. But sources are telling our partners at WCBS that this was, in fact, a recreational helicopter, and there may have been
children, 3 children on board, to be exact. Yeah, when you think about the kind of recreational trips that happen here multiple times a day, we'll see this if you look up at the sky here in New York City. Obviously, we're a big tourist hub, and often families will get on things like this to get some really great views. Hearing again, Jules, that this happened about 45 minutes ago and that one person unfortunately died when this helicopter went down in the Hudson River.
Yeah, it is a sobering day. And as we look at these images right now, obviously the main priority is search and rescue, and that's what they're doing as we speak. And as you said, WCBS reporting that one confirmed dead, but we did hear reports from our WCBS affiliate that they have confirmed that children were on board. And so at this point, as we're looking at this video right now and these live pictures, obviously the search and rescue continues.
That's right, Jules. This is a really active scene. You can see just how big the response is from this vantage point, where you see all of the NYPD and FDNY crews that are out on the water. What you can't see here, and I'm not sure if we have this control room to show our viewers, is from the ground. There was just an incredible response on the ground, and anyone who's traveling in Lower Manhattan right now or on the west side near Pier 40 will notice this kind of chaos and traffic, because there are so many closures as emergency crews try to get as close as they can on the ground, in the air, and in the water to try to manage what's happening right now in the Hudson River.
All right, Chanel, we're going to stay on top of this, and obviously our affiliate WCBS is covering this wall to wall, and we will check back with them and you for more updates. Chanel, thank you. All right, we're going to move on now. Let's go to the White House, where President Trump spoke about tariffs during a meeting with cabinet members earlier today. He answered questions about future tariff negotiations, including one about possible exceptions for certain companies. Let's take a listen to that.
I'm not considering now for any country or company, but it's possible that I would. But I'm not. We don't have that situation right now.